to tell the story, inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Respected listeners, beloved shayukh and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I have been asked to share the story of how I accepted Islam. It's kind of wacky. It's got a lot of different twists and turns in it. Alhamdulillah. I would ask that you keep this one theme in mind. So throughout the story of how Yahya accepted Islam, there's one major theme, and that is my own personal lack of knowledge, as well as the lack of knowledge of others around me. So throughout the story, you'll notice that I am doing things that are dumb and silly because I don't know anything about Islam or Muslims. So subhanAllah, this inshallah ta'ala will encourage us to go to the Masjid so that we can seek knowledge ourselves. Excuse me. So, I'm going to start by talking about my perception of Islam or Muslims before I even knew what Islam was. So, growing up in Moncton, New Brunswick, I did not know what a Muslim was. So, the Sikh men that wear turbans, I thought that's what a Muslim was. So, we would see the Sikh men in school and we'd go, look guys, it's a Muslim. They're taking over. They're trying to come into our country and wear their turbans and stuff, and it's freaking us all out. What I knew about Islam, unfortunately, was just from the media. So I knew that, unfortunately, Muslims had killed people in something called 9/11, and I knew about ISIS or Daesh, and that's pretty much it. I didn't even know what Allahu Akbar meant. Most people, if you say Allahu Akbar, they get really scared if they're a non-Muslim. They at least kind of understand what that means. I had no idea what that meant. So the first time that I ever met a Muslim, I was 13 years old. I was at my middle school prom, so grade 8, and there was an Iraqi brother named Yasin. Yasin, if you're out there and you're hearing this, I love you for the sake of Allah, brother. So Yasin was trying to get some food from the table, but he noticed there was lots of sausage, lots of khanzir, and so he said something out loud about, oh, I can't eat any of this, it has pork in it. And I was like, whoa, why can't you eat pork? Are you Jewish or something? He said, no, I'm Muslim. And I went, I'm Christian, does that mean you have to kill me? So Yasin explained that no, he doesn't have to kill me. But I thought that in Islam, if a Muslim found a Christian, he just had to kill him right away. That was how it worked. So subhanAllah. My life before Islam. So kind of getting into when I was kind of in middle school, high school kind of times. We'll talk about a little bit the few years before I accepted Islam, inshallah ta'ala. So growing up as a Christian, I started to notice Christian differences of opinion on major things. My own grandparents, on both my mother's side and my father's side, would never ever touch khamr. Alcohol was disgusting, it destroyed lives. There was people in my family, unfortunately, that had become alcoholics, so nobody wanted to touch the khamr. But my parents would drink. They wouldn't get drunk and things, but my parents would still drink khamr. And so I wondered, why is there so much ikhtilaf about something that, like, this is a big deal? Like, whether or not people can drink wine and beer, like, this should be something that everybody agrees upon, but there's so much ikhtilaf. Even more ajib for me was that people disagreed about the LGTB stuff. There were some Christians that were saying, this is perfectly fine, this is acceptable, this is only for God to judge. And then on the other end of the spectrum, even in the same church, half the people would be super against it. I was like, why is there so much ikhtilaf? Why can't we agree on anything? So I got hired as a pastoral intern when I was 14 years old. So I started to study these things for myself. I was studying under the pastors in my church. What I kept noticing as I interacted with the youth more and studied the Bible more is that there was a major disconnect between what the Bible is saying to do and what we were doing. We were not following the Bible at all. So there was just degeneracy everywhere. People were committing zina, people were drinking alcohol, swearing all the time, talking about women in a very inappropriate way, doing all kinds of very immoral and disgusting things, not following the Bible at all. So I wondered, why is this happening? So I started to dive into other ideologies. I'm trying to figure out. Christianity seems to not really be cutting it, so maybe there's something else out there that's the truth. So I got into basically every single kind of ideology that exists. So I have a big list. Fascism, communism, Christian nationalism, socialism, Zionism. I used to be a Zionist, may Allah forgive me. Libertarianism, nihilism, aristocracy, Buddhism, agnosticism, Buddhist agnosticism, Christian evangelicalism, and the red pill. Some of the youth might know what that is. Subhanallah. So, because of all this searching around, I lacked any sense of purpose in my life, and because of that, I had very bad depressive issues. I was just sad all the time. Being a kafir, it's lonely, it's heartbreaking, and it's sad. So I was just sad for years and years straight, just sad all the time, laying in my room, writing poetry, roses are red, violets are blue, the skies are gray, and my heart is blue too. So I lived a phony life. I would pretend to be a Christian, but deep inside my heart, I was actually a munafiq. I hated Christianity. I felt like Christianity had lost. I believed one of two things. So, either Christianity is true, and if that's the case, Jesus will forgive all my sins, so I can just do whatever I want. And the other possibility is that Christianity is false, and deism is true, aka I believe that there had to be an Allah, there had to be a God, but maybe Christianity isn't true and the Bible isn't really from God. So if that's the case, then I can just do whatever I want because I won't be punished. So, alhamdulillah, either way, I can do whatever I want, yay! So, I got very obsessed with numerous different things that were really bad for me. But the worst one was music. Quick side note, music is haram, and it's one of the biggest tricks of the shaitan. So avoid it at all costs. I began to be brainwashed by the music I was listening to. I would listen to metal music, hard rock stuff. At first it started out with the kind of lighter things, but then I slowly went into the shaitani stuff until eventually I was listening to music about worshipping shaitan all day long. So I wound up worshipping the shaitan. Astaghfirullah. May Allah forgive me, this is the really sad part of the story. I came to the conclusion that Christianity had failed to maintain a just and religious society, or even just and religious followers. Nobody was really following Christianity anymore. So my big hero was a man called Friedrich Nietzsche. He was a 19th century German philosopher that was very influential in the West. And I thought he was like the top dog, that he was super cool, that he'd figured everything out. He famously said, Gott ist tot, which is German for God is dead. And that's a very famous line in the West. The idea was that Christianity had failed to maintain a just society where people actually followed Allah. And so because of this, I thought that Shaitan had won, and that because of that, might as well just worship Shaitan, he won. And so I wound up doing some really disgusting things. I wrote a whole book about this ideology. I had a lot of friends that also did the same thing. They came from Christian families, and they also worshipped the shaitan, and we would worship the shaitan together. One of my friends, she even used to pray to the shaitan so that she would get possessed. She would pray to get possessed, but she never told us if it actually worked. SubhanAllah. So, at the saddest part of the story, now we get to how did I discover Islam? Because I've looked into everything. Now I'm the most misguided, the most disgusting kafir that exists in the world, and I don't know what Islam is. So one day I was watching a video by Andrew Tate. The youngsters probably know who Andrew Tate is. Alhamdulillah, he actually accepted Islam too. So I was watching this video by Andrew Tate, and he started to say, people are very degenerate now. Throughout the whole podcast, they're talking about these issues. People are just committing zina all over the place, and not going to church or obeying God at all. And then Andrew Tate brings up this weird religion, Islam. He says, in these Islamic countries, the women, they stay at home and they cover their faces, and they all have like 6 kids, and they obey their husbands, and nobody sleeps around with each other, alhamdulillah. And Islam is perfect, everybody follows it. And I was like, subhanallah, something clicked in my mind. Okay, maybe Islam isn't what I think it is. Maybe it's actually the truth. Maybe that's what we're supposed to be following, because everybody, all these billions of people are following it very well. Nobody's really following Christianity anymore. Maybe it's the truth. So, I went to the Muslims in my high school. Hey guys, I would like to learn about the Quran. the Quran. I couldn't say any of the words, subhanAllah. They opened up the first chapter, and I tried to read Al-Baqarah. And I thought that nobody except a few scholars could speak Fusha, because the way they explained it to me, they said, this is Alif Lam Mim. We don't know what it means. I was like, whoa. So you guys don't even understand this language. SubhanAllah. After a few days, I found a video explaining Islam. It was like 17 minutes long, and it just explained the basics. That the Prophet ﷺ had made it his life's mission to stop a society that was plagued by evils. Polytheism, injustice, evil, murder, pointless wars, and he tried to get people to leave all of these disgusting things and to follow the worship of one God, Tawheed. But there was no Trinity, there was no worshipping a man. I was surprised to find that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was a peaceful and loving man, because all my life, all I'd ever heard was that he, a'udhu billah, was a mass murderer, this warrior who was just after money and women. But subhanAllah, he was putting everything on the line, sacrificing so much, just so that people would only worship one Allah. So I was very moved, and I believed it immediately, but I still wanted to know more. So I was hesitant. I started to investigate. I started watching videos and reading things that explained that the Bible had been corrupted, the concept of tahrif. I'd never even considered this before, but when I looked into it, I just went on Wikipedia and just typed in, like, is the Bible corrupted? And then it said yes. SubhanAllah. So then I read through it, and I'm reading about all these different theories. These German scientists had dissected the Bible, and they found out that the Bible is corrupted. I started reading, how did Judas Iscariot die? Did he die in a field, or did he get hanged? Or what was the age of such and such king when he became king? Was he 14 or 27 or what? Why is there all these different contradictions? So I studied every day for hours. I would get up at like 7 in the morning and study until like 7 at night, like hours and hours every day. It was during COVID, alhamdulillah, so I had a lot of time. Eventually, I was sent a video by some very nice Muslims about a man named Yusuf Evans, a convert from America. I was only going to watch the first 20 minutes of the video because it was very late at night. I wound up staying up the whole night to watch the video, even though it was like 2 hours long. I was so enveloped. It was so incredible to me. This man was talking about how he used to be a Christian, but then he accepted Islam and all the different reasons why. And at the end I found, I now believe in Islam. But I didn't even know what the Shahada was. So I just felt like, okay, I'm Muslim now, but I didn't know what it was. Eventually, people told me, okay, there's this thing called the Shahada. It's a declaration of your Iman, and you have to say it. So I spent the day learning how to say the Shahada, and then at 3:30 in the morning, after I went to a New Year's Eve party, on the 1st of January in 2022, I took my Shahada. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Takbir. My family were not so happy, subhanAllah. So now that I had accepted Islam, I had to find out more about Islam, because I couldn't just stop here. So the first thing that happened is that I went and told my parents, and it didn't go very well for me. They were very upset. They decided to buy me a bunch of books called Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus, about these Muslims that had left Islam to become Christians. In reality, they were actually Ahmadiyya, so, you know. But subhanAllah, I started reading about these issues. The age of Aisha, radiallahu ta'ala anha, I was like, whoa, that's not okay in Canada in 2024. I don't know if I can be Muslim anymore. So after reading about these issues, I actually left Islam. Astaghfirullah. I went to my mother, I told her, Mom, I decided to leave Islam because of the age of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. It really disturbed me. I feel like Islam can't be the truth anymore. But then I thought, no, this can't be it. Like, Islam has Tawheed. There's no other religion with Tawheed. So how can it be that because of this one little thing, Islam can be true? So I went and did some more research, and I wound up accepting Islam a second time after 2 weeks, once some brothers explained the issue to me. So alhamdulillah, mini lesson from there, don't be afraid to ask questions that are doubts for you, that might hurt your iman. Because Islam is the haqq, so it will be answered inshallah ta'ala. So, just a few things that happened to me that are examples of me having a lack of ilm. Even after I accepted Islam, I did not know how to make wudu for 6 months. So for 6 months, I immediately learned how to pray Salah, but I was learning how to be a Muslim online. So I lacked any actual teachers. So I didn't know how to make wudu, and I would pray every single salah without wudu. So maybe like one or two salahs that I prayed after I stepped out of the shower were accepted, but everything else, none of my salah counted for the first 6 months that I was Muslim. SubhanAllah. Another example, I used to pray in bathrooms because I would be out in public. I didn't want to pray in public, I was scared. So I would tell my family or my friends, hey guys, I have to go to the bathroom for about 10 minutes. And then I'd be in the bathroom praying my salah, doing sajda, but there would be like najasas around me and stuff. But I didn't know. So, subhanAllah, even in my high school, there was very few people that actually came to pray the salah with me. And I didn't know what the iqamah was. I didn't know how to call the adhan. And I didn't even know how to pray in jama'ah. So the first time I went to pray in jama'ah, it was with my friend Adam As-Subki. I love you, Adam, for the sake of Allah. He's in Ontario right now, so he can't hear me, but subhanAllah. I went to pray with him. He starts saying Allahu Akbar, going into his sajda and everything, and I'm still standing there. And then when I feel like it, I say, okay, Allahu Akbar, and then I go down and I'm completely off sync with him. And then it ends and he looks over at me, SubhanAllah, brother, you don't know how to pray in jama'ah. SubhanAllah. So, my first time coming to the masjid, we're getting to the end of the story, alhamdulillah. So, I had still not gone to the masjid, even after a year of being Muslim, because I was scared. What if I go in there and everybody has their face covered, and they're sacrificing chickens to Allah? Like, things could be weird in there. So the first time I went for salah, it was for Jummah, alhamdulillah. Some brothers brought me. I was very scared. I didn't even want to pray by myself. I was trying to pray with my friend Adam next to me, but he went up one line, and I was like, oh no. And then the imam was saying Allahu Akbar, and I was like, SubhanAllah, like that when everybody said Ameen, that was so loud. SubhanAllah. So I decided to come to the masjid, really for the first time, just independently, without fear, when I was 18 years old. I graduated high school, I turned 18. That was the first time I came to the masjid. Now, it was time to meet Sheikh Dawood. People had told me about Sheikh Dawood, that he was a, mashallah, a convert. I'd seen him walking around with his long red beard, and I was scared of him. I was very nervous to meet him for the first time. What if he was strict and scary? And he was like, brother, SubhanAllah, you haven't been to the masjid after being Muslim for like 2 years? What's wrong with you? I met him for the first time, and SubhanAllah, Sheikh Dawood was a very kind man. We got along well, talking about Islam, talking about some of the issues. And then I told him that I wanted to take my shahada, because I'd never done my shahada in front of everybody. And this is where everybody here meets Yahya for the first time. That was when I took my shahada, alhamdulillah. So now, alhamdulillah, being connected to the masjid, now I had all kinds of new lovely brothers to help me out, teach me about things. I was connected to the people of knowledge, the people of ilm, and now I could learn about the deen and study Islam properly, which is the end of the story. So, here is the big takeaway, the point of the story of Yahya. 1. Beware the dangers of kufri environments. Things like music that seem, okay, I know that like there's some ikhtilaf about whether or not it's haram, but it seems like okay to me, but you know, it makes me a little uncomfortable that there's maybe some kufri things in it, and then it leads to something, and then it leads to something else. It's a spark that starts the forest fire. So stay away from this kind of thing. Listen to Quran, inshallah. And the second major thing, the big takeaway is, the knowledge of the deen is extremely important. And this occurs when we connect ourselves to the masjid and to the pious people of knowledge. So, may Allah give us all pious people of knowledge to study from and guide us upon a sirat al-mustaqim. Alhamdulillah. Ameen.
Jazakallahu khairan, mashallah. Beautiful story. I don't know who the Sheikh Dawood guy is, but he sounds pretty good to me. MashaAllah. So alhamdulillah, we take some lessons from that, and the masjid is truly a place where